meeting of the council for closed session on June the
Actually,
4th.
successor agency.
Excuse me?
Successor agency?
Is it successor agency?
Successor agency, special.
Okay. Called June 4th meeting of the successor agency.
Board members Friedman?
Here.
Najarian?
Here?
Caro? Sinanian?
Here.
Chair Weaver?
Here. Read the closed session item into the record.
Just for clarification, it is not closed session, it's a successor agency. If you would allow me, Mr. Chair.
Wait, okay, I'm off.
It's understandable, it's okay. The agenda for the June 4th, 2013 special public meeting of the successor agency was posted on Thursday, May 30th, 2013 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Before this body this afternoon is the Director of Community Development regarding Alex Theater Expansion Project in connection with the specification number 3500. 1A is a motion rejecting the sole bid received and requesting authorization to negotiate directly with George C. Hopkins Construction Company, Inc.
Please note, I read the report and I threw it out. I think it was last week or something, but I did read the report, and I understand what's happening. So with that, Mr. Ochoa.
Yes, sir. This is the much-anticipated consideration of the Alex Theater expansion project. We have received the bids such as they are, and we have a unique situation before us. We will call on an up-and-coming administrative analyst, Ms. Cassandra Pruitt, to give you the staff presentation. Cassandra?
Good afternoon, Success Agency members. Staff is requesting approval to reject the sole bid received for the Alex Theater expansion project and negotiate with the bidder to reduce the bid price. On March 26th, the successor agency approved the plans and specifications for the Alex Theater expansion project and directed the city clerk to advertise for bids. On that date, the successor agency also requested a $750,000 loan from the city of Glendale to cover a project funding gap until those funds could be available on ROPS 5, which is in January. With that $750,000 loan, the project budget allowed for a $4.4 million construction cost, plus a 20% contingency. We had interest from numerous bidders on the project, but due to the challenging construction schedule, we only received one bid for the project. This was from George Hopkins Construction, and the amount was $4.9 million, which is about $450,000 over budget. Because the agency has already borrowed money from the city to fund this project, staff would like to exhaust all cost reduction strategies before resorting to an additional loan. So that's why we're requesting approval to negotiate with the contractor, coordinating with the city engineer to bring the construction cost within budget. We also want to look at some potential value engineering options on the project. And doing this, we believe that we can bring the construction cost within budget and return promptly for approval to award the bid and resume project schedule. The project is on a critical path schedule to break ground in July and complete by May 2014. The city engineer, as well as Alex Theater and Glendale Art staff, are here to answer questions if available. That concludes my report. If you have any questions.
A question: how do we advertise these projects? I'm just a little worried that there's a project out there and we only get one bid, and now the bid is over the projected amount.
The project is advertised publicly through the city clerk's office. They place an ad in the local paper. We also reached out to about 25 contractors that were recommended by the architect and who we'd heard about through the community and people that were interested. I think ultimately we ended up reaching out to about 40 by the end of the bid proposal period.
Is there a reason why only one bid was received?
I think at the end of the day, the complex nature of construction in a historic building, coupled with the very challenging and aggressive time schedule, because we have to be done by dates certain so that Alex can commence with their programming, is enough in an environment where work is starting to return, where some folks would just bypass it because it's too complex for what the price tag is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you first. Mr. Najarian.
Thank you.
There was a second bid, but it came in past the deadline,
Yes.
and I'm not sure how legally you can deal with that, but was that bid significantly different in price than the...
It can't be accepted by the city clerk's office because it wasn't on time.
And you can't discuss the price.
Exactly.
And did we look at it? I mean, without discussing the price, was it just returned too late, or we opened it
The
up and
city
said,
clerk
oh,
doesn't even
interesting?
accept the bid.
I don't believe you can actually open it, though, can you?
No, a bid late, junk it or throw it.
So are you
Turn it.
prohibited then from contacting that other, since we're going to be dealing directly then with the Hopkins firm, are you prohibited from entering into negotiations with the other failed bidder?
We would have to redo the entire bid process per our bidding requirements, and I believe state code has is it a public works project?
Yes, it is. It's under the public
The
contracts
public,
code.
so we would have to redo all that, and in some circumstance, we might, but considering that we have to start in July so that we can finish in May, we don't have the luxury of throwing everybody out and just re-advertising. We have to basically deal with the cards that we have in our hand, which would be the one bid from Hopkins.
The problem is the cards in our hand are open to the Hopkins firm. They know they're the only bidder. They know that we have a deadline. They know that there are some difficulties.
But at this point, we have their binding their bid too. So let's say we reject their bid and they decide, well, now that they know what our numbers are, that they just do not wish to negotiate in good faith with us on those items that we would value engineer. We always have the option of just rejecting the entire scheme and coming back to you when we, instead of awarding the bid, to completely reject everything. Now, that's a sour pill for the Alex Theater folks and that project, but if need be, securing the public's resources would dictate that.
Well, let me make your negotiations a little easier. I will not authorize an additional penny to go towards the funding of this contract. So you can say there's a very stubborn council member who will not authorize a penny towards that. So just for what it's worth.
Understood and appreciated, sir.
And would add, Philip Lanzafame, Economic Development Director, I would also add that we would like to do this very quickly. So we'll be back to you with an answer. However, understood what you said, the direction. If we decide to change tracks, it will be very shortly.
But that being said, the Hopkins firm has done great work for the city in many different regards. The Pacific Pool was on time, on budget. But I just have to say what I have to say.
I understand. And I also want to point out, because they have been, they're a local developer, they submitted their bid along with everybody else. They didn't know what anybody else's number would be. They didn't know if anybody else would bid. So we're going from that approach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd just like to say that I sat in many bid openings with the Corps of Engineers. And if they I saw them come in 30 seconds late and they were refused. The whole packet was just turned back and they left the room. So that's the way the bidding process works. As I understand it, we could provide additional money from the general fund reserve to meet the price.
That's correct.
But he's proposed. However, the other option is you go back and negotiate with Hopkins and try to cut corners, right?
I think the order of
I wouldn't-
magnitude would be to negotiate with Hopkins on their pricing, and if necessary, value engineer down the project so that it meets our budget, or option 3 would be to reject everything and just not move forward,
Or you could,
or some combination.
whatever the critical path is. How many months of construction is it?
You probably have 7 or 8 months of construction, but another twist to this is we want to reopen right in the middle of construction for the holiday season. So we're going to construct from July to November. reopen for the holiday season, close again after, and then finish
Okay.
up in May.
I think I remember reading the ROPS. Additional monies could be due at what point in time? January, was it? Or December?
Will be available in January.
So the difference, instead of negotiating down, could be available at the end of the year to cover.
Volatility and unpredictability of the state of California's finance department notwithstanding.
Understood. That's
You
a
would
big
need,
if.
you'd need to fund that today. When you enter into the contract, we
So
could go and ask for that money,
So
but
we'd have to loan the money from the general fund reserve and then pray that the state would honor us at the end of the year.
that is,
That's an option.
that is the option.
Yes, sir.
But I would say, and as Ms. Pruitt noted, we've done that once with the council, and we think rather than go back and ask for more from the general fund that we would put on ROPS, we would rather look at, can we reduce the cost of the bid, and then can we value engineer? Maybe some of the finishes don't need to be what was spec'd
Well,
out.
that's my concern. The Alex is historical structure, and you're going to start cutting corners to get into the price. Finishes, whatever you're doing, you're starting to play around. After cost estimate was made, I forget, what was the engineer's estimate?
It was 4 to 4.4 million.
And that's what, 4.48 or something, the
4.42.
bid came in
Yeah.
from Hopkins?
4.9.
Oh, yeah, just about on. So we think it could be done for that price. Hopkins thinks he can do it for that price. But we're going to go in and now cut. And I'm wondering what's going to be cut.
Well, things like, we wouldn't do anything that you couldn't go back and do at a later time. Things like painting. If you were to leave the exposed walls and not paint, you could save
Hey, that's what I'm
$30,000.
leading up to. If we can reach agreement with Hopkins to do the hard work, the structural or whatever work, get done, and the remainder stays unfinished till after we find out if ROPS is going to hit, he could then come back in on the same contract and finish off. In other words, don't go and do the painting and the other stuff that can wait. You want to get it open for the holidays. Open the holidays, it'll probably be at night so they won't see that the walls aren't painted or whatever. I don't know what other things, but is that what you're looking to do?
Essentially, yes.
So,
And we will also have not only ROPS, but any contingency. If we finish the project without using contingency, that would be available then to put back into the project for those things.
what contingency do we have on this? 5, 6?
8%. We want to be very conservative considering.
And that's more than I've virtually ever seen on a project. This should be 5, 10% normally, but I guess you must figure a lot of unknowns out there.
Just with the historic building, with again, the tight timeline, we want to be very, very conservative.
Yeah, I forget the details of the construction contract. That's why I'm pretty vague. But I see what you're going to do. Hold off, negotiate with them to do the structural and media improvements now, and then come back later. We can revisit it when we find out if ROPS hits. Is that the strategy you're going to use? Okay. See, I remember a lot of what I read. Didn't really think I forgot everything. Is there any other comment? Yes.
Question, Mr. Lanzafame, you said you'll be back. These negotiations won't take too long, so we're talking about like 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
We hope to even be back sooner. If we can get together with George Hopkins and get some meaningful discussions, we'd like to come back next week because time is of the essence.
It's things like painting. Don't do the painting. Okay, quick.
And the bidding process takes how long? If, let's say, we were to reject, didn't reject all the
Bid
bid.
another 30 to 60 days.
And if the negotiations failed, that would still be an option.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to know what the potential
Chair,
is.
members of the board member Sinanian, our typical advertising period is 4 weeks minimum, just for the
30
contractors
days.
to be able to bid on the project.
Complicated one, it might be 60, but the normal's 30 days. Okay, any other questions? Somebody want to make a motion? Recommended procedure?
The item
Second?
at 1.
Okay, roll call, please.
Board members Friedman,
Yes?
Najarian,
Yes?
Quintero, Sinanian,
Yes.
Chair Weaver.
Aye. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Second.
We stand adjourned at 3:18. Thank you all.